I'm Leonard Maltin, and I'm standing in the lovely Los Angeles home of Bernie Shine, an old friend and fellow film buff, and especially cartoon buff.
Definitely cartoon buff,
Yes.
Leonard. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, and thank you for letting us come and look at your quite extraordinary collection.
Always a pleasure.
Now, it's clear that you like Mickey Mouse. I think it's fair to say you love Mickey Mouse.
I have been accused and plead guilty, yes.
What is it about Mickey that makes him so appealing?
Well, Leonard, I've never seen art or objects, man-made objects, that appeal to my eye more than the earliest incarnations of Mickey Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about this character from its vintage years that to me is irresistible.
It's been analyzed, of course, and people have talked about the roundness and, its friendly shapes and all of that kind of thing. Do you have any theories, or you just know you like them?
I not only like it, I think it's good luck, Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, I wrote a poem, and I'm going to recite the poem for you whether you like it or not. And the poem is, "The house of Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck is filled with joy and blessed with luck. Good omens these two do bring to ward off all that is evil and all that is mean. Surround thyself with their likeness from ceiling to floor, and ye shall keep the big bad wolf away from your door."
Well, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who feel the same way, too. Well, when did you start collecting Mickey?
Before it was pop chic. I began collecting Mickey late 1960s, and I saw this stuff go from the flea markets to the antique stores to the same auction houses that were auctioning the old masters and the royal jewels.
And the prices have risen accordingly.
The prices have gone astronomical over the 30, 40 years that I've been collecting, yeah. When I first started collecting Mickey, Leonard, everything was rare. And piece by piece by piece, and over the years you learn which is rare, which isn't rare, which is valuable, which isn't valuable. To me, it's has nothing to do with value. To me, it all has to do with aesthetics. And if it appeals to my eye, that's the only threshold that allows it to come into my collection.
Now, there were many other cartoon characters who were merchandised, and you collect some of them too, but Mickey towers above them all, doesn't he?
And that has to do not only with the genius of Walt Disney, but the genius of a marketeer named Kay Kamen. And in 1932, Walt Disney made a contractual arrangement with Kay Kamen to do all the licensing of the Mickey Mouse and Disney characters, and that's when the floodgates opened, and there was this vast array of toys, games, books, watches, you name it, they made it.
In fact, I can't think of an item that wasn't Mickeyized at one time.
Mickey has a universal appeal, even at the time, not only to children, but to adults.
And it was grown-ups buying this as well as kids.
Most definitely.
Now, are you still collecting? Are you still finding pieces?
Still actively collecting. I need a 10-step program to get me off the internet. It's amazing, Leonard, that I can still discover pieces that I didn't know existed. And that, of course, is the biggest thrill, because you think you know it all, and along comes a piece that you say, my goodness, where did this come from? And it's absolutely, it gets the adrenaline running all over again, like the day you first started collecting.
Sure. Now, it's not only American-made pieces either. I mean, these objects obviously come from all over the world.
These pieces were made in every country that you could think of.
Do you have any idea how many individual Mickey Mouse pieces you have?
I have no idea how many individual Mickey Mouse pieces I have, and I would be hesitant to start counting them.
Well, I'll take a safe bet that it's in the hundreds, and it wouldn't shock me if it's in the thousands.
Quite a bit to see here, Leonard.
Why don't we get going?
All right.
Will you give us a tour?
Absolutely,
All
my
right,
pleasure.
Let's start over here.
Some of the most wonderful things, Leonard, are these celluloid toys. It's absolutely amazing that some kid in the 30s could have owned this. It's the most delicate material on planet Earth. It's the early forerunner of plastic, and that it still works.
Just on these few shelves in front of us here, we have an idea of the range of material. I'm seeing a milk bottle there. We have birthday candle holders. We have wonderful cereal spoons that were being advertised with grape nuts and bran flakes.
That was a wonderful store display.
Yes.
Now that's rather rare to find anything that's a point of purchase item, because the display itself was never meant to be owned by the consumer. So usually when that was done, that would be thrown out, and to find that in that condition is a real treat.
Mickey Mouse toasted nut chocolate.
Don't eat it.
I won't, believe me. Real Wilbur chocolate with toasted peanuts. And on the back, it advertises a Mickey Mouse boys watch or girls mesh bag free. See inside the label for details on how to do this.
You send in so many wrappers and you get a free Mickey Mouse watch. And there was a lot of this, again, was Kay Kamen's genius of tying products together and promoting this wonderful property.
Now these standing figures up here, what would they have been made for and what are they made from?
They're made of paper mache. They were made by the Old King Coal Company in Canton, Ohio, and they were store display pieces. Those are the smaller versions that were used at point of purchase, but this Old King Coal also made very large pieces as well. The theaters, when they would premiere a Mickey cartoon or if it was featuring a Mickey cartoon, they would often set up elaborate displays.
And probably some of those tied in with a local department store to sell more Mickey Mouse merchandise.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
There's a store display for Ingersoll watches, which were one of the most successful products was the Mickey Mouse watch. And people think that the 1930s Mickey watch is a rare object. It's actually one of the most common objects because there were millions and millions of them sold, and they were very well made, virtually indestructible. And even when they stopped running, people wouldn't throw a watch out, they'd throw it in a drawer. So the survival rate of those watches was remarkable. The first Mickey Mouse watch was introduced at the Chicago World's Fair in 1933, and they actually had a little miniature factory, Ingersoll, where they would show the watch being assembled. Here's a nice assortment of Ingersoll watches, including the Big Bad Wolf pocket watch. The wolf's eye winks. These black and white ceramic figurines were made in Germany. The German Mickey is quite rare because Hitler put a stop to it. And behind them are some beautiful picture records that RCA produced. The Ohio Art Company was very prolific and a very large Disney licensees, and they made these tin lithograph pails. This is a nice group of radios that were made by the Emerson Radio Company. The one on the right is what they called Scirocco wood radio that was a imitation wood. Well, here's an absolutely remarkable celluloid toy in the original box. In fact, oftentimes the original box is rarer than the toy itself because the first thing that one would dispose of when one acquires a toy is the box. The toy was made in Japan for the Australian market. Well, here's a box I just really treasure. It's a Mickey Mouse comic cookie box, and when it was emptied, it was intended to be shaped into a Mickey Mouse house. This piece of carpeting was in the aisle of an RKO theater in the mid-1930s at the premiere of a Mickey Mouse cartoon, and I really love the Art Deco motif. This Mickey Mouse costume is really remarkable. This is from the original Mickey Mouse Club from the 1930s. Here's a fully accessorized child's school desk from the mid-1930s. Well, this is a very rare piece. I only know of two of these, and I have one of them, luckily. This is a Mickey Mouse doorstop that's metal, and it's very unique in his sculpture. This paper mache store display sign is one of my favorite pieces. Here's another featuring Santa Claus. The sculpture on this Mickey Mouse lamp is really remarkable. He looks as if he's in that state just before you fall asleep. He looks quite content in his chair. These are quite unique. These are soap figurines that were made in England in the 1930s, and it's remarkable that these would survive. The other interesting thing about these is that the noses were made out of hat pins. Doesn't sound very child safe by today's standards. This box contains a Mickey Mouse Safe Cinema, which was a home movie projector. Cloth dolls such as this Mickey and Minnie were very popular. I'm always amazed with these soda bottles. The labels, they're paper labels, and it's quite remarkable that they've never been washed or removed. So someone, apparently even back in the 30s, thought this was worthwhile to keep as just an object. You can stand that Mickey, or I prefer to balance him like that.
Very nice.
Celluloid and tin. And this, Leonard, is what many consider to be the first Mickey Mouse toy.
The very first?
Well, that's what many people think. He's dated 1930, actually dated 1928, 1930 on his decal. And he has a wonderful little surprise because if you push on his tail, he pops up.
Very nice. And of course, all of this great success and this great merchandising boom was at the depths of the Depression.
And I think that it's actually makes sense because the character was so uplifting, so Chaplin-esque, and I think his timing was remarkable. Came along when America needed a smile and needed a laugh. I like to collect things that have a face to it. And the face of Mickey Mouse, of course, to me is a piece of perfect art.
It's a debate whether we've saved the best for last, but it's certainly the biggest piece you have.
Well, and certainly one of my favorites, Leonard. This also was made by the old King Cole Company in Canton, Ohio. This was a store display piece from 1935. Used department stores, typically like Macy's and window displays and that sort of thing. Definitely not a piece made for the consumer. And it's made out of paper mache.
This is paper mache?
It's remarkable, isn't it, that
That's
an object
incredible.
like this would last and survive all these years and still be in presentable condition?
Better than presentable. It's a knockout.
Well, it's even better than at first glance, Leonard, because it's completely mechanical.
Fantastic. And away we go.